used to be P1, but P1 is still hard, for sure. Don't get me wrong. It is just going to be a lot more consistent because the things that were very annoying about P1 have been changed. P2 is a understanding phase. P3 is somewhat an understanding phase, but mainly it's just very hard for healers and tanks. And one DPS could potentially fuck it up if you don't know where to go, which that combination just leads to a lot of wipes, right? All right, so let's start looking at P1. So P1's wipe conditions are pretty simple. There's a lot of damage going out. One instance of this damage is random. These living masses have a spell called Fission, which they cast the entire time that they're alive. And all Fission does is it randomly hits one person in the raid every 2 seconds for single targeted damage. Imagine it like a cast that you can't kick, and you don't necessarily know who it's targeting every single time, but we will have a weak aura that will play a gunshot. It'll just play a gunshot or put "you're dead" on the middle of your screen. And that is whenever you are getting targeted by two Fissions at once. So a weak aura can tell you that. Fortunately, you can't tell by anything on their nameplates or anything on their cast bar or anything like that. It's just a weak aura that seems to be able to work for this. Just keep that in mind. That is one of the largest ways that you can die is you get targeted by two Fissions, you have the spread, and you get the spread plus the two Fissions at the same time. So just be aware, anytime these living masses are up, you need to be very afraid of your health bar. Just always afraid of your health bar. So the living masses on Mythic only have one adjustment, which is that they have to die within 10 seconds of each other. It's very, very lenient as far as when you can do that. Generally, our living mass killers in the raid are going to be Devoker, Warlocks, Ellie Shaman, Shadow Priest. Everyone should be hitting living masses. The damage check on the living masses is the damage check of the phase, not necessarily the damage check on Dimensius himself. That is very free now. It's mostly just the damage on the living masses. So, for example, if you are someone who cannot cleave off of each living mass, you should probably hit the living mass at the back because the melee are likely going to be hitting the living mass at the front. Melee, you guys can hit the living mass at the back if you want to. If you can cleave off of both, obviously cleave off of both. But just make sure that everyone is focusing those living masses. After we do the first devour, which could shift left or right, so just keep that in mind. Be ready to move left or right. We get the knockback. The knockback is much bigger on Mythic. You see it bumps them all the way to the edge of the platform. We will be assigning for the couple of players that really struggle with a knockback like this. We'll be assigning rescues. We have 2 rescues available to us that we'll be using, particularly, I think, on Crow and one of the Warlocks, I think is what we were talking about. So just keep that in mind if you are one of those people, and we will be using that on the second knockback. Those rescues will be on every other knockback, so it'll be the second knockback and the fourth knockback. It will not be on the first and third. So first and the third, you should use Void Elf or any other knockback immune that you have, just because of the lineup of mechanics that you get, which again we'll talk about. Then we get the spread. The spread's the same as Heroic. If you remember Heroic Week 1, it's about the same amount of fear that you'll get, where it'll do that much damage to you and it can easily one-shot you. We will have generally assigned spread positions. I actually did not make the raid plan with the specific positions in mind, but we will be forming a formation very similar to this, with melee that's placing up here, range that are along this wall along with healers, and tanks have some special spots in the middle of the room that they'll be placing on consistently. Keep in mind how the spread works is that if you place on a previously placed pool, it will one-shot you, or if you place on top of somebody else, it will one-shot you. He gets the "you're dead here" thing because of the fact that he gets the spread and he gets targeted by 2 of the Fissions at once because these living masses are up. Now, after we do the spread, the sequence of mechanics is always the same. Regardless of the timing of when they come out, the sequence never changes. The timing changes, but the sequence does not. So it's always living masses spawn into spreads. After you spread, you focus the living masses down. So we are now focusing these living masses, making sure that they die. This little weak aura that is under them, what this is showing is this is their average percentage compared to, or their percentage of HP compared to the average of all living masses, because all living masses, including the ones on the other side, need to die at the same time. What this is meaning is that this one is 5.9% lower over here than the average, which means you probably don't want to target it as much. This one is 17% higher, which means you want to target it more. So all you need to know, red box means probably don't target it as much. Green box means do more damage to it. But in general, it is better to add damage to the living mass that is behind rather than to take away damage from the living mass that is ahead. Unlike Forge Weaver, where taking away damage from a collector made more sense. On this one, it's the opposite, where we want to add as much damage as possible. Because the leeway is very wide and these are very close together, it makes it to where if we kill one early, it's not the biggest deal in the world. We can just add damage to the one that's behind, right? Then the next thing that happens after you spread and you're focusing these ads, you're going to get the soak. The soak pop fucking hurts. It hurts really bad. He popped something there, so he didn't take any damage, but it generally will do about 70%-ish, 60%-ish of your health. So just be prepared for that. It's another one of those big damage instances. This fight in general is getting chunked to 20%, having to get healed up before the next instance, then getting chunked to 20%. There is a decent amount of rot in the fight, but usually the rot is not what's going to kill you. It's going to be a big pop into a rot tick. Then you soak as normal, just like heroic, and we get the reverse gravities. These reverse gravities were one of the hardest mechanics of this phase because you had to be very specific with your positioning. Now, this was nerfed to, instead of 3 reverse gravities, it is 2. So all we're going to do to make this completely unwipeable is we're going to have a front and a back. We're not going to do the Venn diagram stuff. We will have the marker down to go and tell you like where to go and stand to make it a little bit easier. But you are just going to be front and back. So one person will be assigned front by the weak aura, one person will be assigned back by the weak aura, and you guys will just stand directly stacked on each other. The back person will stand basically to the back of the marker, and the front person will stand in front of them. Do not even worry about getting super close to them. Like this Venn diagram right here is fine, but I don't even necessarily want it this close. The reason why is because we have plenty of time to suck you down, and if you overlapped on accident, you both die instantly. We just don't want to have anyone ever die to that. We just want to make the mechanic completely stupid simple. Now, the suck downs are from picking up the living masses, right? So the ones that drop under the living masses whenever they die. We want to do something very specific with this, which is the same thing you see here. If you watch the Race to World first, you notice that they were trying to kill these living masses before this inverse reverse gravity came out. Now, the reason that they did that was because the suck down was very, very tight, and they wanted to be sucking down instantly upon the inverse gravities popping up, which meant that you could reposition. Because of the fact that it's been nerfed, the timing is now a lot more lenient, which means we can remove the damage check on the living masses by not picking them up. You can kill them, but do not pick up the living masses on the ground until the reverse gravity goes off. Once the reverse gravity goes off, then people that did not get targeted by reverse gravity will pick up the living masses. The reasoning for this is so that we don't get a bad overlap where somebody picks up a living mass or a living mass dies very, very close to whenever this reverse gravity cast is going to go off, which means somebody picks up a living mass and gets reverse gravity. That would be an instant wipe because you can't suck them down anymore because it requires both players to be inside of the same little suck down circle to suck them down. So what that means for you guys is whenever you're taking a look at these liquid mass assignments right here, what this means is that the hard assigned liquid mass people this starts on liquid mass 2. Liquid mass 1 is on pull. Liquid mass 2 would be light and Mies. But light and Mies will not pick up the liquid or the living masses until they see the reverse gravity come out. If light or Mies or both gets targeted with a reverse gravity, then the weak aura will tell Yoru, Winter, or Lake to pick up the living masses instead for this set. Same thing for the next set. If Winter has one and Palak does not, then it will tell Light. Why'd I get Southern Holy? It'll tell Light, Mies, or Lake to go ahead and pick it up. So that's how that living mass pickup will be working. Is there any confusion on that?
No.
Follow Weekora.
Pretty much.
Does the living mass do like a dot or anything by picking it up?
No. Yeah, no, does not do damage to you. Okay, fantastic. So whenever we're doing these living masses, you'll just suck down the front guy first. You'll suck down the back guy second. Very simple. Directly after we do the suck down, then you get a little bit of a breather, and you're going into the next knockback. This is the hard knockback of the phase. Knockback 2 and 4 are hard because if you look at the timer here, like I said, the timings change, but the sequence is not. So this timing is much tighter. So you have 2 seconds after this knockback to be in your spread position before you're dropping your poop. So this is why any knockback cancels, anything like that, really should be used on knockback 2 and 4. It's because you only have 2 seconds between knockback 2 and 4 before you drop your poop, versus on knockback 1 and 3, you have 4. So double the amount of time on 1 and 3. So if you watch this, knockback immunes are usually going to be used here. So he uses disengage, he gets to his spot. The spots for this will be closer to the middle of the room, similar to like what they're doing for range. That way that you can use your knockback immunes and you can just be there. Then you're killing the living masses. The pop of the soak happens. You're soaking once again. And then we are waiting on the reverse gravities. You pick up your living masses and then you're sucking them down. Now, the people that suck down, you guys have to be quick on this specific set. So the second suck down of the fight, you have to be as quick as you can to go ahead and get onto them. Again, because there's only 2, it's not a crazy rush or anything, but still, you want to be quick because the Devourer is coming. We'll have 2 gates that'll be in melee range at the front of the room, which people who do not have a living mass cannot take early. It doesn't matter that you don't have a living mass, doesn't matter that you don't have a gravity. You just should not take this early because the tank is going to be standing over there and he will boop you if you take the gate early. We will take the gate directly after the suck down is done or directly after the Devour cast has started. After the Devour cast has started, you are free to go ahead and press your gate button because that means that he's no longer meleeing. We will group up. If by some chance you do need to be paying attention here, this puddle spawns slightly to the left. And what I mean by slightly is instead of right here, it is like right here. Or right here. It cannot be all the way over here. If you see one spawn over there, it's fake. But if it's in general within like, you know, this vicinity, then that means that you need to go ahead and react and walk into it. How the puddle works is if 2 living mass players, and remember we have 8 total at this point. There are 8 people holding a living mass. If 2 living mass players are ever next to each other, it'll put a puddle onto the ground. That puddle will not be removed until both living mass players are not in the puddle anymore. So that's why sometimes a puddle can spawn to the right, and it's very difficult to be like, okay, which living mass players are in that? And then they walk out of it, and then the other living mass player doesn't walk in. So it can get very confusing, very easy to wipe. So that's why just react to it if it's slightly off to the left or slightly off to the right. Just go ahead and step into it. Directly afterwards, we get the exact same sequence of events. So we're getting the knockback into the spread, but again, you have 4 or 5 seconds here. We will use very, very similar positions for spread 1 here, where you're going to be in a very similar spot. They did not use the exact same spots here, but we'll use something that looks very similar to those. These living masses do need to die. This is the last suck down that we'll do. Again, the soak comes. You need to make sure that you're soaking. And then, just a note on soaking, the people that get the inverse gravities, you guys can wait a second and soak and then move afterwards. You don't have to instantly walk out. Just make sure you help soak. Melee, make sure you help soak, and then you go and help on the living masses. And those soaks are a potential wipe point, but it's only if you're prioritizing other things. Generally, it's a soak first, ask questions later type vibe, where range will be hitting the living masses while melee soaking, and then melee you can get back on them afterwards if necessary. So we do that suck down, and then we play the last knockback at the phase, which again has the quick dark matter here, where you will use your next knockback cancel. We get knocked back. You spread. These spread positions generally do not matter as long as you guys are not on top of each other. Again, I will put a very, very loose assignment for this last spread. You can place poop in the middle. You do not have to kill these living masses. They can be ignored, but we will be holding damage if we're going to push before 2 minutes 55 seconds. Our goal for push timing is 2:55 to allow for both 2 minutes and 90 seconds to be up on the next platform. So just keep in mind you might have to hold damage on this boss. I don't know what this is going to look like once we get another 3% buff. So just be aware that holding damage is very likely going to happen. Then we get into the intermission. In intermission, just drag and ride as normal. There's no changes here. The people that are doing the Starkiller Novas, or sorry, not the Starkiller Novas, that's a different mechanic. The people that are doing the Stellar Cores already know who they are, so it makes it easy. Once we get to this platform, the Artosian platform is the easy platform, where we don't really have that much to worry about. The way that we're doing these platforms is the exact same as Liquid if you watch Liquid's prog. We have 2 Death Knights that will be gripping. That will be Kami and Waffle. And we will assign these quadrants. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So clockwise starting from 1 right here. And Waffle will be gripping in 1 and 3. And Kami will grip in 2 and 4. And then we will mass grip under the boss. So if you're not exactly accurate, not a big deal. The only note to this is White or Winter can back up 1 with a knockback, but you can't. The problem with this is that you have to make sure you're max range knocking back so that you don't knock back the ones that have already been gripped in under the boss. So just be very careful. If we happen to need a backup, then that is our primary backup. Mages can also do this with Blast Wave Plus or Supernova and just blinking over.
Can't I just like wrap it and then I can't fuck the other ads up?
You can ROP it, but it won't bring it in quite close enough. But anyways,
I don't know.
we will have an AoE/CC order for this. It'll be very simple, just to keep it completely unfuckable generally. The first one's just going to be Chaos Nova Cap Totem. The second one's going to be Chaos Nova Cap Totem. And you just do that every time. So it's pretty easy to figure out. We get these tank busters. This is one of the mythic mechanic changes. These tank busters are just all going along this line, just like this. The actual tank will be along the middle line, and then the other 3 will fill in right here. This should primarily target range players, but can target melee. Then we will always be going through every single time, no matter what. You're always going through. Now we get the Crushing Gravity. By the way, just for the Void Wardens, we're killing the one that has the nameplate. You're also going to be killing this one later. So these are your 2 Void Wardens targets right here and right here. You can go ahead and be cleaving off of this guy range. Range, you guys are the only ones who can really hit this. So just be advised that you guys are going to have to hit this. Death Knights can also hit this for sure. But other than DKs, the other melee realistically cannot touch this thing most of the time. So Null Binders have to die before they get their 3rd to cast off. So after our CC order is over, these have to be dead. That's what this little red line is telling you, is how long we have until we can no longer CC them. We'll do these lines, and then immediately after these lines, we'll be going over. So we go over here, and here is the Inverse Gravity, Crushing Gravity set. How Inverse Gravity and Crushing Gravity works is it is guaranteed that the inverse gravity, which is the big circle. The big circle is guaranteed to be on 1 melee, 1 range, and 1 healer. So that means that these spots are not actually weak aura based for getting the big circle. If you ever give the big circle, melee is what we will refer to, I believe, let me double check the weak aura terminology. So I remember I thought it was a little bit weird. Liquid Mana Forge. So we will refer to the melee as bottom. So this is bottom right here. This is middle, and this is top. Okay, so melee are always bottom, range are always top, and healers are always middle. Now, with these small circles, this is where this gets a little bit confusing for a couple of people. If your name is not Quonksy, Justin, or Crow, you don't have to think about this at all. You always go to the same spot no matter what. Every single time if you're a range player, you're always in the top soak. If you're a melee player, you're always in the bottom soak, including tanks. If you're a healer, you're always in the middle soak. But if you are Quonksy, Justin, or Crow, that is not true. The reason why is Quonksy, Justin, and Crow, if you guys get a small circle, you are hard assigned to be in the healer soak. So that means that you will be in this middle soak right here. But if you get the big circle, then you go to your default position, which would mean, for example, let's say you're Justin and you get a small circle, then you would go into the middle soak. And then on the next one, you get a big circle. You are now the melee big circle. So same thing for Crow, except he is always in the middle circle. And then if he gets the big circle, then he will be the top/range big circle. Does that make sense? Perfect. So the crushing gravities, this is super simple after this. So now that you understand what positionings that you guys are going to be using for them, the only thing you need to understand is all it is it's a guy that needs, it's one big guy that requires at least 4 small guys in his circle, or you all die. So that's all it is. It's just big guy needs 4 small guys in a circle, and all the small guys need to get into a circle or else they die.
And they can't overlap? Or
The big circles cannot overlap, but
the small ones?
the small ones can, though it will very likely put you to 1 HP. It does hurt pretty bad. It did get nerfed, which is one of the best nerfs I think they've made. So if you overlap, you won't get 1 shot, but you will take a lot of damage, like 90% of your HP. So defensiving this is always a good idea if you don't have a defensive somewhere else. Now, during this overlap range, you guys need to be killing this Void Warden. So you see this Void Warden is about 50% whenever they cross over. Ranged are hard targeting this at this point. All the range should be hitting that Void Warden because this Void Warden needs to die. We get the next tank line. We will keep the boss right here as they do. And the next tank line, if you get targeted by it, the rule is do not move. So if you get this tank line, do not move. If you're stacked on somebody, make a call out in voice to move or move to the most reasonable location. I think calling out in voice makes the most sense to just say something like Hamill will move, because then the person that is stacked on you will probably know, okay, I don't need to move then. So just
Do I go in the melee soak or the range soak?
you are in the range soak.
Sounds good.
So then we get the pushback. The pushback did get nerfed, so it's not nearly as strong anymore. I'm not sure how this guy's cheating right here. Maybe he has turtle up or something. Yeah, he does. But we will use Time Spiral on this pushback. We will also use Time Spiral on the next pushback. Recommended that you go ahead and use as much movement as you can on this to just stay as healthy as you can. You guys have to move all the way to the front. Melee, you lose some uptime here, but the damage check on this is not that tight. In fact, again, we will probably be holding damage, which is just an unfortunate fact of how this boss is going to work out cooldown-wise. We will then play in this quadrant, and it's the same exact thing. Just imagine that you do what you just did, except now you're over here. The only difference is that we grip these guys in. We do the same thing with these lines here. You can put one along the middle line where we just came from. That's fine. We'd rather them all be along the middle line before. But we kill these null binders. These null binders make sure that they die. And then right whenever we do not want this boss to die, our timing for this boss is we need this guy to die right after we get this dodge rock weak aura to pop up. So he should be dead now. Like, kill it right now. We get no gravity, but we do get the rock. So right whenever that dodge rock comes up, we kill him. That is the best time for cooldown timings, and we will skip this. If we do not skip this, then we have a slightly different formation that we have to make. Instead of making the line, we make the L formation. This is the only other formation that we get whenever it comes to the fucking crushing gravity. Jesus, been yapping a lot already. So for this, for our purposes, the top of this positioning, or the melee of this positioning, will be this front of L over here. And then, so this is our melee soak. Then this is our range soak. And this is our healer soak. So healers are going to be up top. Range are going to be right here. And melee will be right here. Basically, how you can imagine this, or at least how I imagine this in my head, to make this the simplest, is just imagine that you're doing the straight line again. Right? So you have melee, healers, range. But hold on, there's no platform here. So that means we're doing the L. Okay? And the L, the only difference, the only people that change because of the L are that the melee are over here instead. So if you think about it like that, it's very, very simple. Healers and range are always in the same spot, but if there's no platform, no space for the melee, then the melee are over in this corner, making the L. Fantastic.
Can everyone get the line frontal things, or is that just range?
Yes, that can. I believe it can go on anyone.
I've never had that before. That's what I was wondering.
I think it usually goes on. From what I've seen, it's almost always 1 melee, 3 range. So, and usually the melee keeps it on the middle line, and the range then go to their like spread locations. So then we get the next dragon riding. Again, dragon riding is the same. People that are doing stellar cores know who they are. Do not miss. If you miss, it's just you cannot miss going to the second platform. If you miss going to the first platform, it's probably okay. You can probably make it work. If you miss going to the second platform, it's completely fucked usually. So do not miss going to the second platform. Like, please, for the love of God. This is how we can get a lot of wipes added for free, is missing stellar cores on the way to the second platform. The second platform is by far the harder platform. Just both the damage check is harder on the Void Wardens and the Null Binders, and the ad itself, the big guy, and the actual mechanics of this are much harder. So obviously this guy has the melee run out mechanic, but what it also has is the new soak orbs mechanic. So you see this bait orbs weak aura? What that is telling you is you need to be on this marker. So you see they have a circle marker that's right here. And that is where you have to be standing. Melee, see, are right here, where they're in line with this circle marker. And that is because the orbs can be thrown towards any random player. So if you were, for example, over here, or over here, or over here, you could bait these orbs, and now we're completely fucked. So that means for DKs that are gripping, wait until the orb bait before you think about moving for your grip. Except, obviously, you see that this one was able to be gripped in instantly because it's right under the boss. But do not move through the boss to do that grip. You have to stay on the side of the boss close to orange. Then, right after the bait happens, so you'll be looking at this weak aura. Bait orbs, 3, 2, 1, move. And you'll move to your right unless you're a soaker. If it is very important that the entire raid gets onto this line right here, because this whole section is your safe zone. The reason why is that these soaks that come out have this circle around them. All the circle means, if you are in the circle, you get hit by the soak, and you get a debuff. There are 2 rules with these soaks. If 2 players ever get hit by 1 orb at once, it causes a wipe. And if any player with a debuff gets hit by an orb, it causes a wipe. And that includes the circle around the orb. So people that are soaking, which for our purposes for this first one are Winter left, Yoru middle, Kami right. The people that are soaking, you guys will stand close to the back like this. You'll wait until the orbs look to be safe to be able to soak. So around right now is fine. You can also wait a little bit later if you want. The middle one usually needs to go by now just to make sure that they don't get, push off the platform. It doesn't knock you back or anything, but it is just a note to make sure that you don't have any bad stuff happen to you. You soak the orb, and then you're just doing your normal thing. Right after this Void Warden should be dying. Again, range, you guys should have been cleaving down this Void Warden during this time. You should focus this Void Warden after this point to make sure it dies. We would much rather have way too much damage on this Void Warden and not enough damage on the boss than have too much damage on the boss. We once again will make the L here. So it's the same exact thing. Hey, there's no platform here for our melee to stand in. So that means that melee just rotates here. Healers are here. And you have range right here. So we'll do the L here. There's no gate. Then we get the winds. Again, we'll have a time spiral here. And then we have to do the second set on this platform, where we will have to kill this new Nullbinder. You will bait the orbs again, this time on the triangle marker, which will be right here. We grip in all of those. You bait the orbs, you move to the right, you do the exact same thing. These 3 soakers are Light, Poutsy, and Palok, being left, middle, right. And then we once again will not push until after this rock is thrown. So we want him to start the pushback cast. We will get this gravity, we will instigate, and we will make the line here. So that means that this is the range soak, this is the healer soak, this is the melee soak. So we make the line, and then we wait. The second that you see this pushback is cast, this boss can now die. Watch your HP if you're low at all during this, like going into this pushback, because if you are low, then you might die as you're falling to the damage, but you can fall off the platform, and then Xalatath will save you. Then we're going into P3. Any questions on P2 in general?
Yeah, in the Dratnos video, they said they had pre-assigned soaked spots inside the crushing gravities. Are we going to do that, or are we just going to yellow spread?
I'm going to give very loose assignments for soak spots. Like, for example, it'll say something like the raid plan, whenever I eventually stop fucking around and put it together with the specific names, we'll say something like if this is the range soak, that Lake is generally back left and Palok is generally back right, and so on and so forth. So you'll have very loosely assigned spots, but not hard rules.
Okay.
During the orb soaks, so left, middle, right. The second one, I'm soaking the middle. So
Correct.
instead of running to the right with everybody, I just stand in the middle and wait for the orb to come hit me?
Yep.
Or do I have to move? Okay.
Yeah, you can just walk to the back of the platform and wait on the orb to hit you and then be ready to gate afterwards. So probably gust of wind to the gate or something. Because you don't actually have to immune the next knockback, so you can use your movement on it. Anything else on P2?
Oh,
It's kind of simple.
Okay, fantastic. P3, hardest tank phase potentially ever made. Very, very hard on tanks. Very, very hard on healers. DPS, you kind of pay phone. I'm not going to lie. It's not free. It is not a free phase. But it is much simpler for DPS than the other 2 roles in the raid. This hurts. The star spawning. You should have 2 minutes up here, and 3 minutes, and 1 minute 30 seconds. That's why we kill at this timing. Now, we will have SLT on this, because we have a Resto Shaman. It's the second really, really good SLT of this fight, including the second Devour of P1. So you shouldn't, in theory, because of the SLT, you should not have to activate a personal. Now, the ring mechanic. One thing that you guys know the ring mechanic, obviously. One thing I want to inform you about the ring mechanic is if you move to the right, if the first ring is on your right, then that means that you will be moving right the entire time. If the first ring is on your left, that means you will be moving left the entire time. Because there are only 2 possible permutations of the ring spawns, which means that there are only 2 possible directions that you can be running. And if the right one is first, then the next right one will be next, and the next right one will be next. And then same thing if the left one is first, and it'll be so on and so forth. I will call this each individual time just to make sure. The rings hurt really bad. Really, really bad. If you get hit by 2, you're just dead. It even kills tanks. It doesn't one-shot tanks. Tanks can live it, but it hurts really bad. We'll be ripping a lot of externals on tanks. I'm assuming Abrix is here. Yeah, he is. So I will be assigning externals to you specifically when you're tanking the first and the second ring set. And then on the last 2 ring sets that you take, Abrix, I would say you hard assign DS and Spellbop for those to make sure that you're not just eating shit and dying at the end of the fight. So whatever the last 2 ring sets that we actually play, which probably will be I imagine this boss probably dies very shortly after the second Devour in P2, or in P3, sorry. So whatever the last 2 rings before that where you're actually tanking the boss. When you're not tanking the boss, it's not a big deal. It does still hurt, but obviously you can kind of run around with the raid and you can dodge the rings, so. Okay, so you dodge the rings as normal, and then we get the hide. How the hide works is if you see all of these markers, these are pre-assigned. And these are 1, 2, 3, 4. All this is if you were to draw a circle, and you were to have all of your beautiful stars that are orbiting here, those stars would just be 1, 2, 3, 4 on the side of the boss that you're on. So if you're on this side of the boss, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. So how this works is you can only have 5 player in each star, or we wipe. So we have to assign each star individually. Makes it very easy to see where your group is if you're lost by having everybody spam in say. And the hard assignments for this are in the raid strategies. Dimensius, generally, it is low to medium mobility range are going to be in 1. It will be melee and healers in 2. It will be fast melee and the rest of the healers / Lanthelin in 3. And then people who are skipping the ring, including tanks, will be in 4. So that would be Abrix, Kami, Mies, Yoru, and currently Lake is in there, but once Molly B is back, Lake you'll move to 3, and Molly B will move to 4. I don't imagine we'll get to P3 on Thursday, which is the only day he's not here. But if we so happen to, you'll be in 4 for that day. So that is the way that this works. Is this confusing for anybody, or do we understand the 1, 2, 3, 4 here?
That's pretty chill.
All good.
Are we gonna do the thing that Dreadnoughts' guild was doing, where somebody pings as like the midpoint, or we're just gonna vibe out the midpoint?
The midpoint.
That was for the. I know what you're talking about. I believe wasn't that for the inverse gravity, like the suck in inverse gravity set that happened?
It was for they did it just now. I
Did they
saw
do it
them
for both?
They
It was
did
just
for
to see the
literally
middle,
this
yeah.
one. It's somebody,
Yeah,
one of the healers pings between 2 and 3, so you can see where they are relative to each other.
Yeah,
See
we'll do that.
The ping right there.
Actually, I think that's a good idea. I did not. I don't remember that from the Drought video. I'm sure he talked about it. It's an hour.
He mentioned it.
Yeah, it's an hour-long
Yeah.
video, so it must have been the thing
I
that I
was going to
forgot.
ask you about that too, actually.
Yeah. We'll just have Light spam ping himself in between 2 and 3. I think that's probably good.
Okay, that's fine.
It's like bind it to your convoke because you're probably convoking here. Yeah.
He just pings the entire fucking fight.
So you'll see a ping from Light. I think attack
He's
is
convoking,
probably the
he's
easiest to see.
convoking.
So I like the attack ping, but if you see the attack ping, that is telling you, hey, this is between 2 and 3, so this would mean that this is 1 over here. So you guys, if you're ever lost, you can use the attack ping as kind of a a guide as to where to go. Also, one more note with the hide. Whenever you're under the stars, it does damage to you. So you want to stay out of the star until late. Don't like edge it last second. Don't do that. But do walk in maybe 1 second afterwards. Okay. Then we're getting the inverse gravity and tank pulls. Tank stuff we will discuss specifically probably this weekend. Me, you, and Kami will sit down and we'll just talk about P3 a lot and make sure that we're 100% sure, both defensively and positionally, what needs to happen, and taunt swap timings. The phase is just really hard. So we'll make sure that everything tank-wise is fine. But for the rest of the raid, you have the crushing gravity and inverse gravity set here. How we do this crushing gravity and inverse gravity set is instead of having top, middle, bottom, we now have left, middle, right. Can you guess which one's right and which one's left? You got it. The ranged are left, the melee are right, and the healers are in the middle. So how we do this is you guys actually will all almost stack on each other because there's a tank pull-in happening. So you see they're kind of stacked on each other. And what's going to happen is the people on the left will fight against the suck whenever it happens. So you will hold A on your keyboard. The people in the middle will very, very slightly fight against the suck, where you'll tap A few times on your keyboard. Then the people on the right will not fight against the suck at all. So that means that if you're on the left, you see how you fight. If you look at the people on the middle, they tap A few times and fight it just a little bit. And then if you look at the people on the right, then they allow it to suck them all the way to the tank. Now, very important here, the ways that you wiped this, twofold. Number one, if at any time, not just during a devour, more than 5 players are inside of one of the stars, it is an insta wipe. So you cannot get sucked into a star. A lot of that's on the tank, but you can also help that. Do not get sucked into a star. Now, number 2, you can wipe because there is a little bit of a bug here where the positional updates of your character are not synced up with everybody else. This will be more important later, but after you do the suck in, before the gravities go off, do not press a movement button. Do not press one. Just no W, no A, no D, no S. Just wait for the gravity to go off. Once the gravity has gone off, then start moving to make sure that your position is updating properly. I'll point out why that is even more important in a second. But at least for this set, it's not the most important. But for the future sets, it will be. So then we get next rings. Again, if it's on your left, you will be moving left constantly. If it is on your right, you'll be moving right constantly. So you see they move left here. Let the first ring hit you quickly. Then let the second ring hit you. For anyone that's planning to skip this ring, you need to really study POVs to be able to understand what you need to do. Now we get the first sort of hard pull-in. This one is different because we get left, right, and middle still, but the middle, which is the healer soak, will be at the back. So we don't have enough space to be able to put it left, right. Blue is such an awful fucking color for this. Left, right, middle. So since there's no space for middle here, we're just moving the middle to the outside. Very important with this middle soak is that you make sure that you are far enough away from this planet so that you do not get sucked in afterwards. So whenever we're doing this suck-in, you see how the suck-in happens at the same time the gravity does. So take your hands off your keyboard. Off your keyboard. You can press damage buttons, but do not press any movement buttons during this suck-in until the gravity has gone off. Once the gravity has gone off, gravity's off now. Just give it a second. Now you can start pressing some movement buttons. Same thing on the next one. You can start pressing some movement buttons after the gravity has gone off. For this healer soak, make sure that this line that is in between you and the tank is making this V right here. So that the tank will make sure that this one exists, but the healer soak needs to make sure that this one exists. Because if this line is going through this planet, that's big, big danger. And that's on the guy who has the healer soak to make sure that's not happening, and the people that are inside of the healer soak. The tank will save the people that are right here. So people that are right here, you guys don't really have to worry about it. So just keeping in mind, whenever you get sucked in, then we have to be ready to move around these planets and do the next rings. We will do these rings just as normal. Once again, make sure the first one hits you quickly. If you're skipping the ring, you need to look at a POV and make sure you know exactly where you're going to be able to skip that ring, because it's very tight. It is very, very tight, especially on the last one. Then we get the hardest overlap of the fight for us, because we likely will kill before the next one. This is the reason why you want to practice taking your hand off of your WASD for every single reverse gravity, because on this one, you're getting pulled while the reverse gravity is going off. This is the exact same as the one that you just saw a second ago. Because we're after the first Devour, it means that the middle one, aka the healer soak, is actually pushed to the back. So left, right here is range, melee, healers. So with that in mind, make sure that you're getting sucked once again as the healer soak through a spot that is not going through this planet. You need to create this V that goes around the planet. Now, as you get sucked, you spread into your positions, you get sucked, you do not press any buttons on your keyboard, WASD. You do not press them during this time, or else you'll probably get killed by a bug. So do not press any buttons, WASD, until after the suck is fully completed. Once the suck is fully completed, unless you're going to go into a planet. If you're going to go into a planet, fuck it, because you might wipe the whole raid instead of you just dying. But if you're not going to go into a planet, just, stay there and chill. Then we get the second Devour. On the second Devour, you just get into your positions. This one's very easy because one will always be the one that is all the way to the left of the furthest left one that's available, right? Now, ranged that are skipping the ring, you guys are going around the other way of the boss because you just skipped the ring. And then we get the hide. Watch your HP here. Pop a personal, most likely. Definitely hurts really bad. Then we will get the final gravity that we will definitely see. I'm almost certain this will be the last gravity we will see. There's a chance it's not. And all we do here is we will have one person ping themselves before this comes out. So probably Light again. He'll ping himself. And then you see that this is where he is. All that's telling you, that is the middle, is what we're going to be doing. So they used it as the right, but we're going to call that one the middle, which means that if the middle is to your left and you were supposed to be in left, then you now need to get inside of this left hole. So what happens during this, to be clear, is we get left, middle, right again. One person will ping before these even come out, so you know where the middle is. And you're going in between these slots. So we have these slots here of 1, 2, 3. And you're going in between these slots with these gravities. You're spreading out. You're popping your every single thing you have left in the game. Almost. We might have to play the rings, actually, so maybe not. But you pop something here for sure. And then you're getting sucked in after. So you do the gravity and then move as far back as you possibly can. If you happen to walk into the side, in case you don't know what happens, it does damage to you and it will knock you back. So very bad to be knocked back, but just be all the way on the edge. You get sucked and then you get the rings right afterwards. We will very likely get at least some of this last ring. If we get all of it, TBD, I don't know, but we will almost assuredly not get the next gravity. I don't think the next gravity is ever a thing that we're going to have to play.
Yeah, we're gonna have that 3% also next week.
Yeah,
so-
we get 3%. We've got more gear. I think there's a decent chance we skip these rings altogether. So, but these are last rings. If you can skip them, skip them. But if you're going to skip them, you have very, very little space to be able to make sure that you place your Transcendence or your Blink properly, because this little lane here is extremely tight. And that's where you have to blink. This, like, your blink target will basically be like here. And you have to blink there or else you insta-die. So you...
Did they not reduce the radius of the
They did
black
reduce the
holes?
radius of the black
Yeah.
holes. So it is a little bit easier. But
Yeah.
so that is P3.
Oh, that's what that was. That
Yeah.
change was.
I believe, from what I did not look at the VOD, but I believe that they changed the radius of the black holes to be the same as the stars to give you more room. It definitely makes it easier. But so on P3, in summary, the biggest things you need to understand are how these crushing gravity and inverse gravity positionings are working. And other than that, if you're not a tank or a healer, all you got to do is just walk to the right and walk to the left. And stay with the group. Never over rotate. Don't over rotate on this phase. It's very bad. You'll just die. Never go the wrong way either, unless you are specifically know that you're allowed to do that, which would be people that are skipping the ring that are in number 4, or potentially the 2 warriors and the demon hunter could also go the wrong way on a couple of bulls before the devour. But that's only allowed like before the devour. Otherwise, you're going the same direction as everybody else.
Did you explain how the ring spawner order works? Did I just black out during that?
Yeah, I did. I mean, all it is that the ring spawn order can only spawn in 2 permutations. It's either clockwise
It's either left or
1
right.
or counterclockwise 2, which means basically because where you're naturally going to be standing is in between 2 rings every time the rings spawn. If the first ring is on your right, you just keep rotating right. If the first ring is on your left, you just keep rotating left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem like the black holes are the same radius as the planet.
Yeah, that's what I thought they would do.
Yeah, just look at preheat as proc.
So, in summary, Dimensius. P1. You are scared for your life most of the phase. Be careful of double fission casts when the living masses are up. Wait until the living masses are... wait until the inverse gravities are up before grabbing the living masses. Make sure that you are ready for knockback 2 and 4, where you're going to have to place your spread circle within 2 seconds of the knockback. If you ever get targeted by fissions and get the gunshot weak aura or the you're dead weak aura, you need to pop something, whether it's, something like survival of the fittest or just flipping D-stance for that specific overlap. Make sure you don't gate too early in P1. In P2, you are placing the tank busters. Generally, melee will be along the line in the middle, and range will be spread along that kind of edge of the side. Then we will go through while we're killing the nullbinders and while we are cleaving down the nullbinders. Range should be hitting the Void Warden that is across the room that we are needing for the pushback. We will then go over. We are making the line, and we are doing... we have Quanxi, Justin, and Crow being the potential floaters. Then we have the pushback directly after we make this line. The people, we will keep the boss here, so melee will lose uptime, get fucked, losers, and you will not move with your lines. If you're stacked on top of somebody else, make the most reasonable choice as quickly as possible, or call out in comms that you're going to be moving, or both. The pushback, you will get a time spiral on. Make sure you fight it as much as you can. Then we will get the next set of ads. These had to be gripped in quickly. Again, the melee will go along the middle line. And then we go through, we gate. We ideally kill the boss right as this dodge rock starts. Therefore, we do not get this gravity, but we will likely have to play this gravity a few times during prog just to keep going. And here we are making the L because there's no space for the line, which just means that melee rotates over to the right. Then on the next platform, you have to bait on the marker. Right after the marker is baited, I will 3, 2, 1 this. You will move to the right. And then the people that are soaking need to make sure they're not in any of the other circles, and you do as well. Then range, once again, targeting the Void Warden. We will make the L here again, which means that melee is going to be all the way on the side. Then we get the wins, where you get pushed back. We once again bait on the marker on triangle here. Then we grip in the nullbinders. Then we kill the nullbinders. We kill the Void Warden. And then right after we get the pushback cast, we kill the boss. And then you phase into P3. And in P3, get hit by the first ring quickly. Understand where your positionings are for the crushing gravity. make sure that you are not getting sucked through a planet, and make sure that you are going to the correct planet during the devour. Otherwise, that's the whole phase. So on Dimensius, are there anything that anyone wants to ask a question about? Literally anything, and we can talk about it. It can be
Go back like 10 seconds right now.
Mhm.
Just what just happened. This first tank pull here with the inverse gravity,
Mhm.
is this is the only one we're in a straight line for?
correct.
Every
yes.
other one, the healers move to the back, basically.
Yep. So the first one is a straight line, and then the next ones are healers in the back.
Okay.
Because
is that
this
just
is the
because the stars give you more room to line up? Is that the only reason, or
yeah, because you have enough room
to make a
to
fully
be able to
straight
make a
line?
fully
Yeah.
straight line versus on these next ones, because it's directly after a ring and you're next to the black holes for this. Depending on where the ring took you, you might not have space to fit in one person right here. So it's just safer to be able to put the range soak in the back. And then obviously after the next devour, there's not enough room anymore to be able to put it in a straight line at any point.
Question.
Mhm.
Can we go over the group assignments again for part 2?
It's just currently Kami and Waffle are assigned to both of those, so you can just hit the boss. But for group assignments, it is just quadrants of 1 and then clockwise. So 2, 3, 4. And this is Waffle, Waffle, Kami, Kami.
Okay, and then yeah, no, that's all I was wondering. So if one of them calls that they missed it, I know where to look.
Yep.
I have a question for P1. Are we gonna the evoker gonna do the cringe shit where they hover in the middle to time spiral?
In P1.
I saw liquid like
Uh,
it was like hovering and going in the middle. I'm not too sure
I
what
don't-
condition.
I don't think that it's super important. Because you're going to be near them whenever we're going to use the time spiral specifically would be on the knockbacks, and you're going to be close to the middle most of the time anyways because the knockback is coming. I know you can immune it by just double jumping, but if you're just closer towards the middle anyways, then I think that it's fine for the knockback, and you just let the knockback knock you a little bit further instead of using a hover charge.
It was probably that third evoker. It's like hovering in the middle and trying to time spiral both sides.
Yeah, most likely. Anything else?
This boss is dead in 3 days. Just saying.
It's not.
Easy.
I mean, it's a lot of coordination.
Nah, it
I
is.
hope so,
Looks
just
fun.
so I can hear Drew Tile scream out "fuck consequence" at the top.
Oh,
of
dude,
his
it's
voice.
did they kill it? Did they kill it?
I
Oh,
think
I'm going to
the most likely prog time for this boss is 8 days. I think it'll likely take anywhere from 6 to 10 days, depending on how excellent we play or how big the nerfs actually are to the actual one-shot mechanics. So like the crushing gravity. If the crushing gravity nerf is bigger than I expect it to be, or if the P1 is much, much easier than I expect it to be because of the living mass HP nerf, then maybe it could be like a 6-day boss. If we play excellently and the nerfs are about how I expect, it could be like a 6.5, 7-day boss. And if we play about average, I think it's like 8 or 9. And then if we play poor, I think it's about a 10. So
Like
we're all gonna walk in like we never had before because it's the last boss. So we're all gonna do it. And
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, I just remembered another question. You said earlier that there was an ad that DKs could hit that the range also hit. Can you explain what you meant by that?
yeah. So after when we go through and we do this inverse gravity over here, right?
Yeah.
If this ad after the inverse gravity, so we go through, we grip everything in, blah, blah, blah. You're just doing normal stuff here. After this gravity goes off, DKs can just walk over and hit this guy right here. Whereas the other melee can't, because the other melee are having to get ready for the pushback, but you can just press DA. So you can just smack this guy
Gotcha.
while they're not able to. Is basically that's all that meant, because you can immune the knockback.
Gotcha. I was like, that seems like a weird, like the way you pointed it out
Mhm.
first. I thought it was like I'd have to walk through the wall to get there, and I'm like, I feel like that's a dumb idea.
No,
so-
no. Just DAing so that you don't have to walk
Gotcha.
all the way to the front of the room.
Okay, I'm understanding
Yeah,
that. And
yeah,
also,
go
while
for
we're
it.
talking about DA, I was gonna ask about the knockback on part 1. Can I just DA every single one of them?
Yes, you can DA every single one.
Fantastic! Wow, this fight's really gonna be.
You didn't see the meme?
You can
posted the other
also
day?
so one thing for P3 actually, you can DA all of the tank suck-ins but one. Do not DA the tank suck-in that we talked about, where the pull or the suck-in happens while the inverse gravity is going off. All the other ones are fine to DA, but that one is not. You'll have to get sucked during that one.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that it would just be a bad idea in general to DA during those.
I think it's also fine to DA. It's just up to you. Or it's fine there.
Good to
So
know.
you know how I know we're progging on the last boss? Drew Tile has entered his hella public like motivational arc.
True.
Word.
He's
Word.
been on that. He's been on that since Nexus King, literally the start, 250 pulls ago.
So any other questions on Dimensius before we close it out? All right, fantastic. I will get general spread locations for everybody posted before raid tomorrow. And it'll be time to absolutely crank this boss. Make sure you look at some POVs for your own particular class. There's going to be quite a few things I can't talk about relative to your utility or your movement that'll be very good to know, and how they handle certain mechanics. Just know that we're using time spirals at the same locations. We're using movement speed at the same locations. We are generally putting spreads around the same locations. So most things that you see in POVs, particularly with Pop Tart Corn Dog, honestly, are ethical. Would be the 3 guilds I would primarily look at. Those will be very, very similar to what we're doing. Just keep in mind, the only mechanical change that you need to be aware of is that there is no longer a third reverse gravity. So the Venn diagram does not exist. We're just doing front back.
Am I gonna need to upper Seymour like Gilg right there? I assume so.
Yeah, pressing roar is just good.
That's good.
Well, a pressing roar both on both platforms.
That's good.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah. One side note to, since it's the same timings, I believe Dratton has mentioned this in his video. For 1.5 and 3-minute classes, if you want it to be back up for the damage champ, you have to hit them like on cooldown and like as soon as you land on the platforms.
Correct. That's a good shout.